Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Jahliel. I am here today to talk about the astrological energies of the next week from June 22nd to until June 29th. I include one more day because, this week is accompanied of a lot of moving events that I am going to describe in a minute. And all of that is operating in the context of the full moon in Capricorn that is precisely on June 29th. That's why I include that day. And this lunation is active from this moment and has as a principal aspect, as the principal aspects, tensions with Neptune and Saturn. But also we have fluid transits along the week, which is energy very useful to transcend challenges and inner conflicts. Beyond this, I wanted to add that this is the last week of Jupiter in Cancer because from June 30th, we start a new year of a transit with Jupiter in Leo. So we begin with today. The Sun just entered in Cancer, have just entered, in a sextile with Chiron in Taurus. I commented this the last week. This is an aspect in order to illuminate, identify situations, internal experiences, behaviors that could be emerging from the wound. Painful experiences that are impulsing dynamics that could be familiar, but if they are pushing us away from what is nourishing, from plenitude, from emotional abundance, from the recognition, of our value, we could take this opportunity that represents a sextile to do something different. And this is supported by other aspect that is happening on June 24th, which is the Sun in Cancer in a trine with the North Node in Pisces and a sextile with the South Node in Virgo. Here we have harmonic aspects that involve the lunar nodes. And when we are dealing with decisions of moving towards the new realities, dreams, desires of the soul, which is Pisces, and letting go of the control, letting go of wanting to know everything, making a plan of everything, letting go of habits that are not making us feel good, behaviors that are apparently being born from the service to other people, but truly they are responding to self-abandonment. Making evolutionary changes is never comfortable. We feel great later, usually, but could be much more fluid at this moment with this kind of transits, making these decisions. And of course, we have to sustain later because, this is part also of the energy of Capricorn, knowing how to sustain in time. Okay, on June 25th, Venus in Leo is going to create a trine with Saturn in Aries. This is going to be repeated by Jupiter in Leo after. And it is a new aspect, very nice. It is activated from today. And this is about a desire of the heart that we want to materialize. Could involve an opportunity that is reaching us, that is coming from the outside to do it. Could also show certain fruits of movements that we have impulsed before in order to construct this, or it could be an aspect that is impulsing us to commit with courage to those desires of the heart, enjoying the process, connecting with playing, the projects that are really that we feel passionate about. This is the fire. In other cases, could be the recognition of what we truly want to construct in relationships and what those things actually require from our side. Actions that could be reflecting that we are rebalancing our self-esteem if it is something that we need now, or that we want to take a relationship and a specific relationship to a new level of commitment. We could talk about societies too in this case. And this same day, we have the Sun in Cancer making a square with Neptune in Aries. This is one of the principal aspects of the full moon. We're going to feel it very strong from now. But I'm going to talk about this at the end, in the context of the full moon. Then I wanted to mention that on June 27th, Mercury enters in the stationary period, which is, from this illusion, from the perspective of the Earth, Mercury seems to be not moving because it is going to be a retrograde from June 29th. So from this 27th, it is important to pay more attention to our communication, to the exchanges, whether this is money, information, or energy, because there could be the tendency to misunderstanding, the confusions, problems with communication, transports, traveling. Let's remember that Mercury retrograde is a period of revision, to go inwards, to evaluate before making an initiative. We could retake situations of the past from other perspectives. So, well, I'm going to talk about this in the next video, but I wanted to anticipate it. On June 28, Mars in Taurus is going to create a sextile with Jupiter in Cancer. It is active from now too, and it is the last aspect, the last exact aspect that we have with Jupiter in Cancer. And when Jupiter is leaving a sign, it is said in astrology that is also leaving its presence, its blessings. And well, this is something that we have to learn, to recognize. I am referring that there could be a possibility to take action in something that creates much stability, that could give us the sensation of emotional shelter. And it could be presented through situations that are, pointing what has truly divine purpose in our lives. It is just that because it is given in the last degrees of those signs, for many people, this has to do with leaving behind something to make a space to a new form of growth and expansion, or closing a cycle. And as it is a sextile, there could be, these bridge situations that I call sometimes experiences that are giving sense to our lives and that are helping us to trust in the process. Well, here we start the agitation because Mars is moving out from Taurus and enters Gemini. And it does so in a conjunction with Uranus that is going to be perfected the next week. But aspects with Mars, we feel them with much anticipation, even with Mars still, transiting Taurus. So Mars in Gemini is a Mars of air, mutable, is adaptative action, decisions from this mental openness, flexibility, creating connections, communication that is opening new ways, curiosity for exploring a path, an idea, information and perspectives that are reaching us and that are helping us to open the paths. But in shadow, could be a Mars that has a lot of difficulty to focus in only one thing, too much options, too much mental overload, excessive focus, excessive thoughts, or consumption of information. This tendency to distraction is also a mechanism of the mind to evade many times decisions or actions that are important. And when we talk about a conjunction with Uranus that we haven't experimented before, I mean, the ones that we are here alive, well, there are surprise factors, chaotic situations, revelations, and ideas that are pushing us to new decisions, unexpected conversations. Could be discussions because Mars is also aggressiveness, problems with technology or communications, changes of plans, or the disruption of certain processes. And also have in account that all of this acceleration and the distractions could provoke, these accidents and that are calling us to move from other energy and to low down the anxiety. All of this, beyond if we like it or not, are synchronical situations that are marking the direction that of what truly is evolutionary in our lives. This Mars is going to respond to Mercury in Cancer. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, that is about to be retrograde. So much of that new that we are opening up, or that we need to open up, requires to integrate aspects of our emotional memory, familiar situations, and situations of the past that we are still like dragging. So we are going to talk about the full moon. This happens on June 29th, full moon in Capricorn, degree 8 with 14 minutes. Every cardinal sign, especially people that have planets close to this mathematical degree of Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, and Aries are going to felt impacted. But as always, we all have these signs in our natal charts. So something is being illuminated, a cycle is being closed. And as I was commenting at the beginning of this video, this happens with the Sun in Cancer in a opposition with the Moon in Capricorn. This always happens this way. We don't have Moon in this sign without other aspect. The Sun in another sign. In a T square, this is the name of the configuration, with Neptune in Aries and in a more amplified way with Saturn in Aries. So this is a configuration that is formed only by tensions, only by squares. And Capricorn is a sign that symbolizes the archetype of the father, of responsibility, of the constructions that require patience and sustaining in time, the goals, what it means for us to reach the summit of the mountain. So the Sun in Cancer precisely represents the archetype of the mother, the nutrition, the caring, the protection, the emotional contact that allows us to move forward towards those goals, but in a profound connection with ourselves and with the soul. Because if we are just only focused in what is visible in the material reality, we could, for example, sustain constructions that are far away of being nourishing, that perhaps respond to the expectations of the environment or what we believe that we have to do to fit into society. We could obtain certain goals to win status, validation, approval, and perhaps we don't even want those goals, or perhaps we could forget about the process that is truly important. It is a constant learning, and that the result is actually generated from the mastery that we are acquiring along the path, the decisions that are calling us to act with responsibility. It is not about fitting an archetype of what others are pretending or their expectations, but on the other side, this does involve recognizing the immature actions that many times are emerging from our childish needs that weren't managed or recognized. And this could create experiences of life, dynamics in relationships that are far away of things that we actually want to experiment, but they are reflecting our unconscious behaviors. So the square with Neptune in Aries, it is speaking to us of conflict, whether this is internal conflict, external conflict, at the time that we need to follow the path that is truly solid and constructive. Again, this is the quality of Saturn and Capricorn. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So it could emerge a very strong need of evasion, tendency, not need, but a tendency of evasion or denial of aspects of us that we need to recognize because they are causing important imbalances. There could be an experience of crisis of sense regarding the path that we were assuming, and it is very welcome actually if this crisis is being manifested, because that is calling us to reevaluate if we are truly moving forward in a direction that is connected with our soul, or if we are just only sustaining things in an automatic pilot, or even putting energy in alternative directions that are responding to a deviation because we are actually trying to avoid developing the necessary maturity to create and to sustain a path from the soul, because of the resistance to facing challenges, because we want everything to be easy, because we don't want to be frustrated or feeling uncomfortable emotions. Could also be manifested the contrary polarity. I mean, to be drawn in the victimization, and our overwhelming emotions are controlling all of our decisions. So we could find a middle point. I mean, we could give a space to our emotions to match them and then take action. It could be exposed lies, the self-deceit in which many times unconsciously we decide to believe. Probably as an escapism of an inner experience that generates rejection or other situations. People could be feeling also like confused, perhaps because they know that there is a decision that they have to make, but they are evading that decision through confusion, and others because they are feeling that great uncertainty towards what is coming, and they want to control with their rational mind what cannot be controlled right now. So the path is going to be opened and is going to be materialized while we make coherent actions, listening to our inner authority. The square with Saturn that I was explaining, that is more amplified than the one with Neptune, but is there. And also Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Well, some people could find perhaps could face them could face results that weren't what they were expecting. Conflicts could be presenting, paths that are closing, or situations that are blocking or restricting, not because life doesn't want for us to move forward, or because we have to be frustrated thinking that anything is going to be right. On the contrary, this is because there is something in the way that we were moving forward that needs to develop maturity, in which we need to take responsibility, perhaps being more patient, perhaps facing a challenge, or perhaps because there is an insistence in a direction that is not proposing any growth. And many people could keep themselves in those kind of directions because they are evading, making cuts, or facing conflicts that are necessary to face. I mean, one thing is the projection that we could do in a conflictive situation that is not solving anything, and the other one is to avoid acting in coherence with ourselves, to avoid those discussions, or to control the reactions of other people. Conflict actually could produce a great growth, and this depends on how we are approaching it. If we are blaming all the external situations, all the external people, or we are making these demands or exigencies towards others that perhaps they are not able to offer what we are demanding, or it doesn't correspond to them, we are stepping in this childish place. But if we are assuming all the blame, all the loads, the burdens of other people that are draining us, we are also in that same place. I mean, living in this state of guiltiness, of self-punishment, is an unconscious way of forcing other people to be empathetic with us. And this is many times pushes as a way of taking responsibility, of observing ourselves and deciding for what is truly good for us and for the environment. And taking the burdens that are not corresponding to us, it is also a childish need of validation and approval, external approval. So this is about making this discernment of what corresponds to us and what is the others, and what experiences are not actually they don't have possibilities of growth anymore. They are actually representing a limitation that perhaps we are not letting go of because we are very, very attached to what we already know. And at last, as I was saying, Mercury starts to be retrograde this same day. This happens hours later of the lunation. And it is going to do so in orb of conjunction with Jupiter in Cancer. This is not exact, but Jupiter is already activating a square with Chiron in Taurus. That is going to be perfected once Jupiter enters Leo. So I'm going to talk more about this aspect, but this moves us to make a revision of our conditionings that are coming from pain, and those that are making us blind to our own emotional needs. And in the end, this also doesn't allow us to see the needs of others, or could be an excessive centralization in our own experience, because this is limiting with the first degree of Leo, and that are not allowing us to be truly empathetic with other people. This could be also a phase in which we don't want to face certain emotions because we are judging them or rejecting them. And it is an invitation to stop using that pain, the fears, insecurities, as a justification to sustain ourselves in spaces that could bring, this illusory satisfaction or this apparently immediate benefit, but truly they are an escapism to not deal with the uncertainty or the emotional discomfort that is so necessary to transit in certain moments of the path. And therefore, they are causing us a damage. They are preventing us from experimenting true emotional richness. And we cannot give that to others if we are not cultivating that in ourselves. And we could, keep sustaining dynamics in which we are not allowing other people to grow, because it is not, of course, our total responsibility, because other people are also choosing, but we are contributing with that. So this is a week with a lot of movement. I am going to close this video here. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.